Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday, the 30th of July. So, the Fed meeting yesterday didn't really show up anything that was unexpected. It's pretty much in line with expectation. In fact, there was a slightly dovish note which saw the euro push up to further new highs. Now, talking of which, the euro now is pretty close to its prior trend line here. This depends how you draw this line. I've seen all sorts of variations, including across the bodies and etc. But I'll just pop it across the top here. To me, it's more significant there. It wouldn't be surprising if it does bounce back into that at some stage. It's got pretty high. It ran into yesterday's R2. And had a reaction off that. Not much. It ended up closing pretty tightly towards the highs. Today, well, consolidation. It's the aftermath, I guess. And occasionally, when there's a lot of people sort of calling for a dollar resurgence, and I sort of keep seeing headlines regarding such. And the more it sort of happens, the more I think, well, perhaps there is some more upside in this market. People shout too loud. But there are signs of divergence across the highs here, some softening, of course, of the acceleration. We often see this in a market which has sort of been pushing up, and as I said before, the euro's pushed up too steeply. A correction, well, we may get a correction. How much we'll see. What could really drive a correction may be the US government actually agreeing on what they're going to do next in terms of the next steps and how much it's going to be and what it's going to mean to people. That's going to be much more significant and may be more of a catalyst on this. But for now, we've not really had the dollar beating sort of move that some might have expected, with a slightly dovish more comments coming out there. However, we've got to remember it's been pretty much priced in there. People understand that the US faces massive struggles, etc., as do many other countries, and it's almost I wouldn't say it's a level playing field, but certainly there's a knowledge of this already pricing into the market, and hence what we've seen over the last month or so. Anyway, today, looking at where we are, well, any sort of shove, there's a sort of a trend line running across the highs here. A shove above that would see me looking much more bullish, maybe back to that sort of 1800 area. We'll see how it goes. There's not a lot of points in this now. It's sort of the volatility's softened up a little bit. Well, look at this as it's sort of just getting post 8 o'clock. It's just finding a bit of support into a 60-minute 34 at this stage. As I said, really I'd like to see price above that daily pivot, and then I'll be looking to see if we can pick some longs, maybe looking back to the highs there. And as I said, there's that trend line as well to bear in mind. So maybe I think about 1820. So I just need to watch for that, but it's still looking potentially bullish at the moment. The pound, having said all of that on that, the pound again closed pretty close towards its highs there yesterday, and today we're seeing a little bit of a retracement at this stage. To be expected, I suppose, the way these markets have been going. And well, it's run back into its 60-50 first test of that for well, certainly this week, and for some time there anyway, since last Friday. So we could again a trend line across the top there, just looking really if this can get hold of this move, and if you can see a bit more of a move up there, perhaps that's the direction it's going to run into. If it breaks through that 50, to me it starts getting a bit softer. You start looking back to the sort of highs and support across to the left here. Maybe that 60-minute 100 could see some action. So bullish until proven otherwise there. Dollar yen. Yen's had, again, a strong move down there. You notice the daily bars gradually getting smaller. Well, yesterday it didn't really move too much. Bit softer. I was looking for previous support levels or resistance levels or whatever level, some sort of levels yesterday, and it's pretty difficult to see where it's going to really stop. Just looking at it now, sort of a bit of a curved bottom there, bit of divergence was kicking in on the RSI here on the 4-hourly charts. So maybe it's still got some correction to be had. We'll see. Looking at the hourlies again, you come back to sort of drawing trend lines across the lows here and saying, well, if it starts breaking through that, in this particular case you've got a whole nest of moving averages sitting down as far as 105.04, so maybe a break of that becomes you become a little bit more bullish on the yen. But for now, well, it's put almost a bearish army there, and it seems to be wanting to move back a little bit, but we'll see how it moves. It's any continuation of this sort of move here. We've got the 100 above us, quite tight pivots because the short range yesterday. Okay, the Aussie dollar. Well, that again is kicked off this morning, dropped back. Again, it's just come here, a bit of divergence. If you can see on the RSI down the lows here compared, so a bit of divergence. But then, other than that, it's had a decent run. Again, all these markets have just run so much. You're looking. I suppose that's why so many people are calling for this sort of retrace. You're looking for this retrace, or traders are looking for the retrace. The 4-hourly wise, it does look a bit softer here with the Aussie dollar, and maybe that 50 MA, maybe even more, could be in line. It hasn't got the nice trend line. Well, it has got a trend line, but way away. Price has just fallen away. This is just a sign of what may happen with the euro and the pound. Well, maybe we'll see a rollover there. In fact, just as I'm talking here, the euro's just taken a bit of a drop back a little bit, so maybe the Aussie's leading the way a little bit here and showing us that we could see some corrections. Okay, finally the Canadian dollar. Come back to dailies there, and you see is again surging up at the moment. So dollar strength coming through a lot of these markets. There are opposite potential if they change, but certainly is sort of engulfing candle we've got over the previous candle there. Not complete, almost a key reversal there. Could call it a key reversal, I guess, and it's sort of really had a surge up here. But whether this itself runs into some resistance, it's already through its R1, almost into its R2. A continued push up there towards that 60-minute 200 could be possible at some stage, but it seems like it's done a lot already. Relatively. Oil, well, oil just dropping down first thing this morning here. It's just come out to the dailies here, and well, dailies are not really telling us too much apart from this flatness, and you can see it's still very range bound. As I said, it's pretty much in a $2 range that we've seen since mid last week. Yesterday, I mean, crikey, look at these bars yesterday. It just really didn't know where to go. Getting sort of signals one way and the other, but it was erring, or some of those signals were erring to the downside, just not really getting any traction with any of them. But we have got a bit of movement to the downside now. Maybe if these other markets start dropping a little bit more, we'll see more downside in oil as well, just pulling back. Okay, that's oil, and finally, well, we'll just pop gold in there just so you can see what's happening here. Again, spike up then yesterday evening with the Fed back into double tops, and now we're seeing this sort of correction. So that does look a bit softer as it sits there, and maybe some of these other markets are sort of showing the route that we could see later. But for now, if I was looking at trying to buy into this, I'd like to see a bit more correction anyway. We had about the best correction a couple of days ago there, but not necessarily into a great deal of support. There was actually a prior high, but maybe if you were looking at this, we may see a more sustained correction. We'll see. S&Ps, let's just come back out for this, and again bullish. It closed towards the highs there yesterday, but again it's sold off through post cash market, and looking quite like it's gained a bit of momentum in that selling with these bigger bars in the last couple of hours. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. News-wise, I should have said today. I knew there was something else. News-wise today, we've got very little. We've got German GDP actually, and that may be the focus for this morning on the euro. There may be a catalyst to get the euro really kicking. German GDP at 9 a.m. Expected to come in at -9. If it comes in at that, well, that or better, we could see the euro pushing or catching a bounce. Otherwise, be prepared for a bit of a bumpy ride on the euro for a while. US advanced GDP coming through later as well, so at 1:30. So a couple of GDP figures. That's expected to come in at -34.5%. Now that is priced in, obviously. People have seen that for some time, but anything more positive on that, again, it could be a catalyst for the US dollar in that case, or worse, and the dollar would probably get another beating. That's it for me. Have a great day. Bye for now.